What's going on today? Just got done with a live stream with Brooke. Held me accountable. I'm supposed to do push-ups to failure after the finish of my chest workout today. And, I'm trying to look for inspiration for content. And I had an individual on Reddit reach out and say, what tips do you have for a max bench press? A max bench press. Man, I remember back in high school weightlifting. That was the thing. How much you bench, bro? How much you bench? Well, back in high school, shit. I remember getting buried under like 115. Not even a full plate on each side, and I couldn't do it. Fast forward to like junior year, I think I was benching like 240. Yeah, I think that was it. And I weighed like 190. But like literally, I know it was 240 because that number's stuck in my head. And you had to use a 2.5 pound plate. I haven't used a 2.5 pound plate in forever. Now, granted, I'm not a power lifter, so things to consider there. What justification do I have to speak on this person's question about building a big bench? Well, I'm not a bench press connoisseur, but I do have some good information for you. I'm a coach, so I'm somewhat well-rounded. Now, granted, if your goal is to become the best bench presser in the world, probably want to go search somewhere else, maybe not even YouTube. You might need to get a real coach just for benching. But in my heyday, back when I used to bench press, I don't really bench press anymore. Not flat bench, at least. The old saying goes, it's not if you tear your pec, flat pressing, it's when. So flat bench pressing with a barbell is a relatively dangerous move. I mean, some unfortunate people have dropped it on their neck and ended their life. Other people have not had a spotter and it's ended their life. But even if it doesn't end your life, something worse might happen. You could get a pec tear. God, and then you can't train for a few months. Just let me die. Not really. But your pec will turn about the color of this awesome vegan as fuck shirt, and you won't be able to lift for a while. So I don't really do, personally, any flat bench pressing. And you're probably like, well, then why the hell are you making a video about it? Well, somebody asked me, all right? I'm doing my best here. Somebody asked me, and so in my day, I didn't really go for a 1 rep max very often, but I did 365, so it's 3 big plates and a 25 on each side for 9 reps. I'm pretty proud of that. I had really wanted 10, and I think I started a cut before I got 10, so I never quite hit 10. I have flat pressed 4 plates, 4 reps, so 405 for 1 rep. So those are pretty decent numbers for somebody that's not really a bench presser. You know, my goal was never to be a bench presser. My goal has, for a very, 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 very long time, over a decade, been to be a bodybuilder. But I have picked up some things along the way for both myself and for my clients, for people that are trying to increase their bench press. And I'm all over the place, but I am tying this into it. When I get a new client, I don't necessarily have them bench press unless they come on, use your words. Unless they ask for specifically that they want to bench press, especially like if they think they might become a power lifter or something along those lines. So the reason I don't have my brand new, like, so if somebody's never entered a gym, I'm not going to have you bench press, I'm not going to have you squat, I'm not going to have you deadlift. Screw all that. Those are the 3 hardest lifts to master outside of things like Olympic weightlifting, like clean and jerk. So why would we have a beginner try and do the hardest move possible? I don't know. I don't know when this became like a school of thought. They are like the most basic, or maybe the most bang for your buck movements with a barbell, but they're the hardest to use. At least effectively. I mean, there's so much balance, so much coordination. People spend 10 years trying to get the best deadlift form possible, 10 years trying to get the best bench press form possible. Why not just hop on a machine and start pushing yourself on day 1 safely? Anyways, back to this max bench press. And oh lordy, I was driving last night and the heat was on. Whew, getting hot in here. I thought it was just me having all this energy. No, I have my heat on. Anyways, focus, John. I swear, I'm not on drugs. Well, some drugs, but No mind-altering drugs at the moment. High on life. But what we want to do to build our bench press. One, if at all possible, we won't be already extremely overweight, and we'll be able to push our food a little bit higher. There's a little joke. The fastest way to add 5 pounds to your bench press is to add 5 pounds to your belly. Gaining weight improves your leverages. So even if your maximum strength doesn't increase, even if you just added 5 pounds of fat, you'll probably be able to bench press more. You'll have a little bit less distance for the bar to travel. So just something to consider there, but I'm not saying get fat just so you get a bigger bench. I'm just saying it all does kind of tie in together with one another. So if you're like in a massive cut, right now it's going to be a little bit harder to build a big bench. It'll be better be going the other way in a surplus bulking. That's very basic. Next, work on your form. If what you're doing is trying to get the best bench press possible, it might sound really obvious to work on your form, but like, do you actually go to the gym and have a dedicated day to where you mostly just train for form instead of training the muscle, training the movement, training the pattern, training your mindset? That's a really big aspect of this. So just again, another thing to consider, I would increase your frequency. If your goal is like, I want a bigger bench press at all costs, then why are you squatting 3 times a week? Dial that down. Dial up the bench press. Now, can I give you anything specific? Sure, I'll give you some specifics. A program that I really liked in the past that worked well for me had like kind of a rotating split. You don't want to go in and get a big bench press by going in and doing your 1 rep max every day. The saying, you can either build your strength or test it, I really believe in that. I believe that that is true. So if you're going in every day and maxing out, you ain't gonna get stronger. You're just gonna tire out your CNS. When you train with really low reps and really high weights, you're gonna fatigue your central nervous system very quickly. So just something to consider there. Don't be so concerned with, oh no, what is my 1 rep max? I want it so bad that all I can think about is it. It's almost like trying to run a marathon and all you can do is think about crossing the finish line. But like, you're falling in potholes because you're not looking 1 step ahead, you're looking 20 miles ahead. So worry a little bit less about the number. Worry about perfecting the form, the movement patterns. Now, how I set up for myself in the past a bit of a strength training block, it was, I believe, 3 different weeks. And this is all just going off the top of my head. So first week, you would do 10 sets, that's a lot, of 3 reps with something around your 5 rep max. So let's say you've been lifting for a while, you can probably on a good day hit 225 for 5 reps. Well, you're gonna go in, you're gonna do 10 sets of only 3 reps. Nowhere near failure. But what you're doing is, you're getting 10 times 3, perfect reps in. Every single time you do a rep, it's a perfect rep. So that means you already have your form down by now. If all of this is way too high level and you don't already have your form down, then maybe look at hiring like a specific powerlifting coach or something like that if you have no idea of even how to bench press. So that first day would be 10 sets of 3 reps. And I believe you do this twice a week. So like maybe on Monday you do that. On Thursday, we're gonna go back, we're gonna do something a little bit different. Do 7 sets of 5 reps. And for that one, we would use something like a 7 or an 8 rep max. So if you could do 225 for 3, or you would 225 for 5, on the other day you're doing 225 for sets of 3. So now on our 5 rep day, you could probably handle something like 195. And you'll do your 7 sets of 5 reps. And then you'll rest over the weekend. Monday comes around again. And now we're going to do 5 sets of 7 reps with something around like your 10 rep max. So, taking you guys to school. I got the school bus. I am so extra. And so, yeah, so like let's say you could do, I don't know, maybe 185 for 10. So you do 5 sets of 7. Now you'll notice we're not like doing your 5 rep max or your 3 rep max or your 10 rep max. we're staying a little bit sub-maximal. And then, so what you would do is, once you successfully complete any of those workouts, let's say on the 225 day, you did hit all 10 sets of 3, then the next week, just go up incrementally. Now it's time to go find those little 2.5 pound plates. People call them a cookie. Add a cookie on each side and go for 230 for 10 sets of 3. And that's what I did for a while when I was coming up, and that seemed to really help my strength. That's one route. There are probably many other better programs that you could just Google that have it all built out for you based on percentages, but that's one that's worked for me. And really, the reason it worked for me is I used to be one of those guys that'd be like, yeah, I want to test my max every day. Like back in high school weightlifting, it was like literally like every week we tested our max, and it's like, do you really think you got that much stronger every single week by just checking it? And also too, when you go under a max lift, like fuck, I'd be scared to bench press my max right now. Like, I don't know if I'd be at 4 plates. Maybe I'm at like, I don't know, something like 385. But like, the chance of getting hurt, the requirement for needing a spotter, the amount of time spent warming up, good Lord. Like, you could have been doing so many other things to actually be building your strength instead of just testing it. So from that perspective, don't get so caught up with the number. Get some progression in. And ultimately, you know, if you're listening to this, Mr. or Mrs. Redditor that asked me how to get a bigger max bench press, why are you, oh God. Well, we just committed to that. There was a giant piece of plywood in the road and there were cars all around me, so we just drove right over it. Hopefully no nails. All right, so back to the bench press. You know, why? Why are we so concerned with our max bench press? Do we want to be able to brag about it? Well, I can brag about 365 for 9. I don't actually have to know exactly how strong I was. Exactly like a 1 rep max. But like, what are your goals? And if your goals are just to get bigger and stronger, man, training like that 6 to 8 rep range, and you're going to kind of do both. You take your 6 rep max of 225 and you get your 6 rep max up to 315. Oh yeah, now we're cooking. Now we're actually building some titties. And the thing is that you're going to be a lot safer doing sets of 6 than sets of 1. So for all those reasons, if you're a client of mine, if you want to be a bodybuilder, if you just want to grow some muscle, a 1 rep max is really just a huge waste of your time. At best, it's a waste of your time, and at worst, you're going to get injured. So that's my 2 cents on building a massive max bench press. To kind of rehash, because I was all over the place. Work on your form. Have at least like 1 day a week dedicated just to form. And then once you feel like you have the form down perfect, again, there's going to be programs out there that'll have this better written out. But what you can do is play off of the form day. You can have a speed day. So again, if you could do 225 for 5, maybe on your speed day, you just do 185 for 5, but you try and move it as fast as possible. Because if you remember on the school bus, when you go to school, force equals mass times acceleration. So we don't always have to add mass. We don't always have to add weight on the bar. We can accelerate the bar faster and create more force. What does that do? Well, one, it primes your CNS to be able to push harder and faster, so you can get stronger in that aspect. But what are you more likely to get hurt with, 185 or 225? I'll tell you, you're more likely to get hurt with 225. It's a little bit heavier. So you can have a very safe speed day. Another thing you could do is add bands. Bands are another form of resistance. They basically don't allow you to have a rep where you're like, no, you won't be able to do that with a band. It's going to pull it back down on you. With a band, you got to push up through it. So bands are another great option. What else? Pause reps. If you are looking to compete, when you compete in a powerlifting, like an official sanctioned event, they say, if I'm correct, like unrack or lift, you unrack it, and then they say, I think they say press, or it's up to you. You go down, but the bar has to sit on your chest for a period of time, And I don't even think that there's an official designation. It's not like a 2-second time. It's like it's something like a adequate pause. So it depends on who your guy is that's calling the rep. And then they say press, and then you're given that command, and then you actually press it back up. So you really got to think about it. Like, if you never in training practice with a pause, if you're trying to compete at a tested, like at a powerlifting competition, and you've never practiced a pause, you ain't gonna do that well. It's gonna be a rude awakening. Go take, exactly that. Like you're 225 for 5, but now add a 1-second pause. I'll be shocked if you get I'll be shocked if you get 4 or like have any room left in the tank after 4. You're not getting 5. If 5 is your 5, if 5 reps is truly your 5 rep max, and you add a 1-second pause at the bottom of each one, you are no longer at your 5 rep max. You are somewhere below that. So, a lot of different options. There's no one way to skin a cat. And that's a really weird phrase as a vegan or not. Like, I don't know why we're skinning cats, and I don't know why we have different ways to do that. But there's a lot of different ways to grow your bench. And not all of them, not most of them, are going to be practicing a 1 rep max. They're going to be sub-maximal work, building up volume. You want to know something else? A bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So, or maybe it's the other way around. Stronger muscle is a bigger muscle. It doesn't really matter. Chicken came first, egg came first. Watching the History Channel, they said that, that technically the egg came first because there were eggs, hundreds of thousands of years before chickens. But I think they kind of missed the point there. I think they missed that, they were asking, is the chicken first or was the chicken egg first, not just the egg in general. Science. But yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to build your max bench, and you're probably like, yeah, dude, we get it. You just strung out all this freaking 17-18 minute long YouTube video on how to build a bigger bench for no damn reason, and you're just wasting our time. And the truth is, I got about a 20-minute drive to the gym, so I try and pack this video as much as content as possible. So that's all I got for you. If you want me to do part 2 on how to build a bigger squat, it'd basically be the same damn thing. So yeah, if you're trying to get stronger, stop doing a 1 rep max. Find a better way. And with that, I'm more of a bodybuilder, so ask me some bodybuilding questions. I love myself. I love you guys. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to go train chest. I am going to try and do a max push-up challenge after, so drop in the comments below if you're still somehow watching. God help you. If you're still watching at this point in time, let me know how many push-ups you think I can do. And if I remember on the next Car Talk video, I will post how many I did. I'm thinking I could probably do like 50 to 60 if I was fresh. I haven't tried to do this in years, so this is kind of fun for me. Actually, one year when I was living in Arizona for like a few months, I think I started at like 50, and I was like, every single morning I'm going to do push-ups, but I'm going to add one more. So it's like 50, 51, 52. I got up to like 59, and then I trained chest really hard that day, and the next day I was at like 40, and I was like, damn, okay, well, I guess this is done. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to go train. And we're at a stoplight, so this is a perfect time to sign off. Please, check out the other videos on the screen. There's something on there for you, I promise you. And if you haven't already, why have you not subscribed? Why have you not shared this with your mom, your dad, your children, your niece, your nephew, your cousin twice removed, your goat? Your goat needs to see this video. I need to get my views up. So your goat's trying to work on his max bench press. He really needs to see this. So with that, I hope you, as always, have the best day ever. Bodybuilding Vegan out. Take care.